Everyone, it's Pam from Glam Junk Journals, and continuing on my series of making a junk journal start to finish. In this segment, we are going to be adding the signatures into the spine and continuing on with embellishing and getting into what I think is the most fun part, just adding sparkles and all sorts of tags and ephemera to the journal. So if you remember in the last video, we constructed the cover, and this was my finished idea that I finally came up with in my head as to how to use this handkerchief. I am going to position it in the center like this and have one end folded over. I'll move my signatures out of the way. And then on the other corners, I think what I'm going to do, and this is, not 100%, but I'm 90% sure, is I'm going to fold these up somehow and either sew them or fray them or something so that they kind of stick out on the top and the bottom. And then on this side, I haven't determined whether I'm going to fold that back or exactly what, but that's going to be the plan for the interior, because I decided I didn't want to cut up this gorgeous handkerchief because it has all the scalloped edges, and I just think that is just a gorgeous way to keep the handkerchief. So if you remember, that is not attached yet, and we're not going to do that yet. We're going to attach the signatures into the spine. We're going to use a 3-hole pamphlet stitch, and like I said before, that is my go-to binding techniques. I am going to be wanting to learn some more this year, so that's one of my goals for myself this year. But the 3-hole pamphlet stitch is my go-to. I like it. It works really well for me, and so that's what we're going to do. So if you remember, on the inside of our spine here, it's 2 inches. Oh, and there's, hold on, back up the truck a minute. Before we get into all that, we're going to go through each of the signatures, and this is just a helpful hint that I've learned over time. If you remember, I tied each of my signatures together with a ribbon or a piece of lace. But what I'm going to focus on right now is the really, really fragile pieces of paper that are in each of the signatures. And what I mean by that is the really old music sheets or anything that definitely can tear easy. So these are fine. This one is actually pretty thick. Even though it is an older piece of music, it's still relatively thick, and I think it'll hold up in fine when you turn pages. The doily's fine. Let's see, so maybe this one doesn't have any. This one, here's one. This is an advertisement out of a magazine that I got. It's dated 1904. So what I'm looking for is when you fold it, it's really, really, causing some stress on the fold, and it will tear very easy. So what I'm going to do is keep this apart so I remember where it goes back in the signature, because you know me, I don't remember stuff. And before we attach our signatures into the spine, I'm going to add some washi tape to the center of the really fragile pieces of paper. And what I like to do is, because what I found with washi tape, and I've pulled out 3 washies that I think might go. I pulled the edges out, to get them going, because I have a problem with pulling it and then it stops and tears, and you have to find the end. But what I found with washi tape is I like to give it some extra sticking power, because sometimes they don't stay. So I'm going to use my Scotch Create glue stick again, and let's see which one I like here. I don't know. That one's, just old newspaper print. This one is cute little sparklies, dots. And this one is similar to, let me get my light here. I don't think you guys can see that. This one is similar to the blue flowers that we have throughout the pages. So it really doesn't matter. Let's see if I want it to show up or not. And I think I like it when they show up. So what I'm going to do is you pull your washi tape really slow, because see, look, even really slow. This one, I don't know if it's because it's dry or if it's the brand of washi, and it's already pulling. So it's sticking right there. So sorry, you're out of here. We're not using you because I don't have time for that today. So we're going to use this one. And I pull it out nice and slow towards, you know, the roll part, and get a long strip going. And I'm going to add, let me move this out of the way. This is in my way here. I'm going to do the back with some glue. Just run it across the top. And that just, I find that this just makes all the difference in the world in how it adheres to your page. And this will give this page some extra strength so that when it's in the journal it doesn't tear in half. So I'm going to lay it right over the fold. So there's one side, and like I said, I'm going to keep going onto the other side by pulling close to the edge of my roll, because I find if I pull it out really, you know, like this, really far away, it has a tendency to tear easier. That's just me. Maybe I you know, washi tape challenged. I don't know. Have you guys found a washi tape that's really, really sticky and stays no matter what? I have not, and I've tried a lot of different ones, but I still love the way washi tape looks. So I'm going to get this lined up pretty straight and smush it down. Let me get my scissors out here. I grabbed my teeny weeny ones real quick and just cut off the edge. So that way, when it's folded over, if you can find the seam again, somewhere, it'll give this piece of paper extra staying power. Okay, there it is right there. Put that back in the signature here. So that one is done. Let's see if there's any more in the other two signatures. I'm going to move that out of the way. All right. Okay, these are all fine. That one. That one's pretty good. That'll be fine too. And you can just tell by the age of the paper whether it's, you know, getting ready to tear apart. This one I'll do again. This is from that same magazine. Cracks me up, some of the ads that are in there. Put that. All right, let's see. Underwood's Deviled Ham. They still have that around. But look at these two ladies having tea with their ham. Cracks me up. Durkee's salad dressing. Is that still around? Whitman's chocolates. Yes, wow. August 1904 is when this magazine was published. How cool is that? Love that. Okay, so let's see. Let's stay with what works. We're going to use this washi tape that has the words or the newspaper print on it. So pull it nice and slow here. This should only take a couple minutes, you guys. So hang with me here. You'll be happy you did this in the end, because then your pages won't rip out when you're folding it over. Let's see, what am I doing here? Just put the glue on the one side. Put it down there. I don't think it has to be really straight, but I'm gonna try to get it straight enough, right? And then on the other side here. See, now this washi tape, I don't know what brand it is. I've collected or you know, where I got it. I collect washi tape just like I collect everything else because I love the patterns on them and all the different designs. But I don't remember where I got this one, but this one works pretty good. The other one is not so much. And it might be because after a while they dry out, I think. Or you know, they become more brittle. I don't know. All right, so that one's good. Fold that guy back over. Perfect. Put him back in the journal. Signature. Okay, that guy's out of there. I think I have one more. Whoops, that was loud, sorry. Let's see about Sophisticated Lady by Duke Ellington. No, that's pretty good. This is pretty thick. Pages are fine. Aha, this one. Oh yeah, this one's really, really old. This is from a vintage music book, so we're gonna do that. Whoops. Hey, let's try this one. This is the Sparklies. Looks like it's doing good. All right, so bear with me here, and then we'll get going into adding the signatures into the spine. All right, there's that one. Oh, that looks really pretty. See? Yay! Oh, this one's working good. Okay, cut that guy off. That looks really good. Get that fold back in there. Yeah, and see, just look how secure that is. There's no flip ups on the edge of the washi tape like you can get. I just think that that's a really good thing to do, is you know, use that glue to add some extra stain powder. Not powder. Look at this one. On the beach. Now, okay, these people are on the beach and they've got full length, you know, she's got all her garb on. So, you know, definitely no risque swimming suits there. Oh man. Okay. Last one, guys. Okay. I was watching a TV show last night with my husband, and you know, I don't know what it was, if it was something on the Discovery Channel about estate sales, or if it was American Pickers. You know, I like watching that stuff because you never know what you're going to find. It goes along with all the thrift store narrative that I like so much. But they were talking about estate sales, and you know, oh, I picked this up at an estate sale. And I'm thinking, oh man, I need to look for some estate sales in Colorado where I'm at, because they got some old books, just old magazines, old, you know, you never know. I just think that's so fun. So that's going to be my next deal here, is to look up some estate sales. They're probably not having a lot now with COVID, but I don't know. Hopefully soon, guys. Hopefully soon. All right. Now comes the next part. We're going to add our signatures into our spine. So where I was at before I did the washi tape is, you remember my spine is 2 inches. And this is how I like to give myself, I make a little guide so that when I punch my holes into my spine and into my pages, it all fits together. So, nothing scientific here again, is I just cut a piece of heavy-duty cardstock or a manila envelope or something, you know, a piece of cardboard to be my guide. So what I did is I cut, this is a manila envelope, I cut it to exactly 2 inches wide and the same length. And on this one, I think I said my journal is 9.5. So this measures exactly the spine. 9.5 by 2. And then what I did with this plain piece of paper is I folded it directly in half so that it's even on each side, the lengthwise, right? So that's where you get the exact center. Now you can always measure it, and what I did is, so that means if it's a 2-inch, I've got 1 inch on each side of the fold, right? Okay, so we've got that. That's where the center is going to be for each of the signature that's getting attached. Now from here, since I have 3 signatures, I went from the center, which is my fold, and I went over 1/2 inch on each side. Right there, if you can see, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. And then I poked holes. So I did that in the center. Now, I've seen other ladies, and this is entirely personal preference. You can get it all even. So what I'm saying is, if this is exactly the middle, you could fold this over and get exactly the middle on each side, right? But to me, this is where the personal preference comes in. If I do that, that means the other holes would be very close to the center, meaning they'd be right here if they're exactly, you know, 1/2 and 1/2 on each side. And I like my outer signatures, meaning on the top and the bottom, I like the outer holes to be closer to the border of my book. To me, it holds the pages in better, because I've done journals where I did, you know, it exactly 1/2 and 1/2 on each side. And what I found is, once the signature is attached, all the pages, you have all this extra at the top and the bottom. And to me, the pages did not stay where I wanted them to in the journal. They had a tendency to kind of move around each of the edges. So what I came up with is I moved the dots, or I don't know what you want to call these, you know, the points where I'm going to add my signatures, I moved them out further. And what I came up with is 1.5 inches in from the top and 1.5 inches in from the bottom. I'll show you what I mean. So 1.5 and 1.5. So let me recap that. This is 9.5 inches long, so it's the length of your spine. I made this the width of my spine, which is 2. I took my piece of paper and folded it in half, and folded it in half this way. That's where I got the exact center. Now you can measure it. I'm not a big geometry person, so I just do the folding, and it works very well. So that's where your center is. So you put a little hole right there. And then on the 2 outer ones, I drew a line, like I said, 1.5 inches in from the bottom and 1.5 inches in from the top. And I drew a line straight across, and of course that's the middle, and then along the bottom. From there, I put a hole in each of the centers, and I went 1/2 inch on each side. So from the center, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. And you have your little template. I save all my templates, so I've got, like, you know, a ton of them. And it's really cool because I have so many different ones that I can usually find one for my next journal. I've made so many different sizes, and you know, these work. All right, so from here, this is where it's going to get kind of weird, and I'm going to try and do this the best I can on camera. What I do is I clip this to the journal cover so that it doesn't move around. Let me get some clips. So I'm just going to do a clip on the top and make sure it's in the center, which it is. Yep, on each side. Let me get another one here. Right, and a clip on the bottom, right? Okay, so, and then, you know, I check to see that if it's right in the center, which it is. Okay. And then we're going to start hole punching. Another thing that I wanted to mention before I do this is try to think a little bit ahead of time on how you want your journal closure. Meaning, what I've done with other journals in the past is I have added a grommet to each side, and I find again that it's easier to do with just the journal cover than after all the signatures are added in. It's doable after the signatures are added in, but you kind of just have to move everything out of the way and it gets more cumbersome. So on other journals, I have added grommets before I add my signatures in. On this particular journal, I'm not going to do that. I think what I'm going to do for the closure for my journal is I'm going to do a big piece of lace and just a ribbon. So it'll be a removable tie closure. So that's just something to think about, is eventually how do you want to close your journal? And, you know, you could always leave it open or add a, you know, a grommet with a big clip, which is very cool. So just think about that. That's all I'm saying right now is think about it. And if you wanted to add something here, you could also, let me think about this, you know, glue a piece of ribbon on each end, and you could do that later too. I just, like I said, find it's easier before everything's added in. But, okay, on to the signatures. Okay, I'm going to get a hammer and a piece of wood from my husband's big supply in his garage. Now, I do wood sometimes just on the back behind my journal so that it doesn't go directly through to the table. Another thing that I've seen people do is phone books, a very thick phone book, or, and who has phone books anymore? I don't know. A thick piece of, or I should say a thick book. You know, this is one of the thrift store books that I disassembled. So I think today, maybe I'll use the book because it might not be as loud as the piece of wood. All right, so what I use now is I have a little Craftsman screwdriver, and this is not a Phillips, this is a regular pointy screwdriver. And I found that's the best. It's a very small diameter because I've used bigger diameters in creating the holes, and sometimes they get too big and your pages will move around. So I don't know what the size of this one is. I can't even tell, but you can just eyeball it and see it's pretty small. You could also use a very large, you know, one of the larger nails. That would work too. So what I'm going to do is I am going to just stand up and hammer these 3 on each of my signatures. And so I'm going to move sideways, and I apologize if this is going to get really loud. It's not too bad, and you'll be able to tell when you go through the journal. You just kind of move it around. So turn down the volume if this is too loud. It'll just be a couple seconds here. And see, the clips are keeping it exactly in place here. We'll do the last 3 here. Okay, all right, back to sitting down. Whoops, sorry about that. Come on, camera. I think I was bonking too hard. I apologize. So hopefully that didn't get too weird on you. All right, take this apart. And you can see, it's kind of hard, but you can see the 3 holes that are in the spine here. Now some people have marked these with dots to, you know, so you're able to see them. And on the back you can't really see them, but I can tell there's little pokes. And so if you want, you can go back on the other side and just make the hole a little more pronounced. Because I find that when I'm, you know, attaching each of the signatures, sometimes I can't find the hole. All right. Okay, done. See? And there's the little holes. They're all even. And they did not go through to my table. So that's good. All right. Okay. So there. Now let's get our signatures here and I decide which one I want first. So like I said, on my 3, I wanted one with the blue border to be first, the one with the lace and the different cardstock second, and the other one third. So I really don't think it matters which one is first of the blue guys. But maybe I'll do this one because this one I think is pretty. Well, I think they're all pretty. All right, so I'm going to tie this. Oh, wait, no, I'm not. Hold on. Okay, so now what I'm doing is I'm just going to center the pages. And they don't have to be centered because sometimes off-center looks cool too. So you have different, you know, different widths of your pages. And like I said, they're not all even and it adds some interest to the page when they're kind of off-center. I do like that. All right, so I'm just going through each page here. Here's the center of my signature. And looking when it's folded up. You know, I don't have a page that's sticking way out this way or way out that way. All right, so that looks really good. And you want to look on your pages if you have anything that needs to be face up. So when you add it into your journal, it's not upside down. So this one, the flowers are going up. So got that the right way. I'll move my ribbon out of the way. And we're going to clip this same template right to the center. All right. So you can tell by the fold, and I've seen people do this with their signatures, is just put a ruler and kind of just make sure the seams are all together. And that is, again, an optional step, but sometimes that helps, depending on how thick your signatures are, because when you start poking holes, sometimes the signatures kind of move so they're off center. And that's not a big deal either, but all right, so I am clipping the top and the bottom again to hold it in place. All right, look on the back. Now this is really cool. I just discovered this. Where's my little screwdriver? Here it is. Okay, I'm going to be using the center hole for each of my 3 signatures. What I found is if I hold the edge of my book and I just twist the screwdriver in a little bit and add some pressure, I don't need to use my hammer. And check it out. It comes right out the other side. All right, so that's cool. So I'm going to do that with the center here. Now this might get kind of weird. Let's see. And you can see it come out the other side, which is really cool. So if you got it all weird, you'll know. So right there, this ribbon is a little bit below center, but oh well. It's okay, you'll never be able to tell. And then along the top, same deal here. Let's see if it's coming through. And it is. See, it's right along the center. Now, this is where I have not troubles, but issues. Is before I take this center off, I am going to use a twisty tie. And I hope, I'm going to try this twisty tie. It's a big fat one. I'm going to stick it through the hole. Nope, that's not going to work. Forget the twisty tie. I'm going to use, this is a, what do you call this? A shish kebab. Or a, you know, what is that? I guess it's called a shish kebab. I don't know. And put it right through. Now see, already the signatures have moved a little bit so that I can't find all the pages. They're not all lined up. The hole isn't, is what I mean. So I like to add something to hold it in place, like that. Definitely not scientific, right? No. All right, so before I do the bottom, I'm going to add another one of my little wooden kebab thingies here. And the only reason I do this is it keeps my signature together while I'm threading. All right. Not that it's a big deal if it comes apart. And I'm also going to leave one of my clips along the bottom to keep it together. So what I'm going to do is, this is going to be my first signature. So it's going to be on the left hand. This is the left hand side. It's going to be the closest hole to the left, meaning not the center and not the right. All right, let's position that. And what I like to use for sewing in the signatures is a very thick thread. This is thicker than just regular thread, and I'm not sure what it's called. It's not embroidery thread, but it is a thicker weight thread. You could also use string. I've used embroidery thread, and I was thinking about this for this journal, but I like this darker blue better for this particular one. So embroidery thread works really well. I have used string before. It just depends on the aesthetic that you're going for. So for this particular book, I am going to use this thick thread. And what I've done is I've cut a strip or a string that is approximately, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. About 4 lengths of the journal. So meaning if it's 9.5, this is probably, you know, almost 36. I like to have a lot of extra just because I don't want to be short, because I've had that happen and then you got to start over. But that's, again, personal preference. And I don't double it up, meaning I don't tie at the end here. If you had a, you know, not a real sturdy thread, you might want to double it up, but I don't. And there's 2 ways to thread this. I start with the middle of the signature. Now, if you start from the inside going down, you're going to end up with this extra string in the middle, okay? So, wherever you start, if it's on the inside, the extra strings are going to end up on the inside. And that's cool because sometimes, you know, you want to add beads and dangles. I've tied the inside and put extra lace or some sort of, little doodad in the center. You don't have to do that. The other way to do it is start from the outside and thread it up through. And then at that, when you're finished, you'll have the strings on the outside, which is also cool because you could add, dangles or beads or anything like that. So again, personal preference, what you want to end up with. Now for this one, I think I am going to have my strings end up on the interior. And so meaning you won't see extra strings on the outside. So what you do is you start with the center, and hopefully these will all go through, which they did. So fortunately, they didn't get too messed up. Now on this one, I can see, you probably can't see it on camera, but I can see where the center of the left side hole was added. And I pull it through and I leave probably, that's about 8 inches. Okay. And I apologize ahead of time if this gets a little weird on camera. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this out. Oh, and another suggestion is you can clip the end of the string that you're using onto one of the sides. That way when you're pulling things through, it doesn't pull all the way through and then you have to start over. That's happened to me before too. All right, so what I'm going to do is, if you remember, it came through the outside, and you're going to go to one of the end holes, and I can see that one there. So I'm going to come back through and get into the bottom of the pages. Now see, my little doodad already fell off, but that's okay, because it kept them together long enough so that the pages are still aligned. Now from here, you came up through the bottom, you're going to go all the way to the top and poke through there. And fortunately, they came all the way through each of my pages. Or no, they didn't. No, they didn't. I had to check. There they are. Now I'm going to go back through the top of the furthest hole towards this spine, not the center. And I've done that too, where I thread it through the spine, and it's the one over. That's okay. You just have to start over. It's no big deal. All right, so now if you look, I'm coming out the top. I pull it all the way through and pull it somewhat tight, but not too tight because you don't want to pull everything out. And then I'm going back through the same center hole. All right. See if I can get this through. Hold on a second. Maybe, maybe not, right? This one's being funky because you can see it, but I can't actually get the hole. Come on. I think I might have to poke the hole again. Hold on a sec. There we go. Okay. There it is. All right, and then what you want to do is get your signatures back. Move this out of the way. That's one of the things when you have that extra ribbon. It kind of gets in the way. But you want to go back up through the same holes as you started with. All right, so now pull this back through. And if you look, this long piece, what I like to do is I like to have one side of my thread on one side of this centerpiece and the other one on the other side. So there you go. And then you can start to pull tight. And this is what I was talking about where you want one of these center pages here to be more on the sturdy side, because when I start pulling this thread, I want to make it tight, whoops, so that when it's closed, let me get this out of the way here, it's tight against the spine. And you can also tell by the outside. This should be pretty, taut. Now this is where if you have somebody else in the house, you could say, hey, give me a finger, and not give me the finger, but you know, hold this down and tie it tight. But I don't have anybody here right now, so we're just gonna have to do it on my own. So I'm just gonna create, whoops, you know, a knot here somehow while I'm still holding it tight, and pull it. And then I like to do it 2 or 3 times. There you go. Now see, this is the extra that I have. It is a little long, so really I probably could have done 3 times the length of the journal instead of 4, but that's, you know, that's okay. I'm going to cut some off because I have a ton of thread. It would be different if I only had a little bit. So I'm going to leave that in there. So there is my first signature added. Yay! So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the camera for a moment and come back, and I'll show you all 3. I'm going to be doing the same thing with all 3 of my signatures. So I'm going to end up with 3 signatures on the outside and 3 attached. So hold on just a minute, and I'm going to do the same thing, and I'll be right back. Thanks. Hold on. Okay, everyone, I am back, and I finished sewing in my 3 signatures. As you can see, they look great, and it's very taut. And so we've got the 3 signatures in my journal, and they look fabulous. They're all going the same way. Thank you very much. And from here, I'm going to give you a sneak preview of what we're going to do in the next video. My plan is to not make these videos, like I said, very long. So I'd rather do all the embellishing and the tag making and ephemera in the next video. So let me give you just a preview. I've pulled out some of my stuff, yay. And this, I gotta tell you, is so fun. Every part is fun, but I love doing this. So I've pulled out a bunch of my scrap not this is fabric, this is paper. Hello. My scrap papers, all with the same kind of, you know, theme we got going on with our inspirational piece here. Yippee. Got some wallpaper, a napkin that is absolutely gorgeous. Look at that. So we might use that. I've got all my bling that we're going to add on. Oh, bling on a roll. So we've got that. I've pulled out, this is Glimmer Mist spray, and this is Lindy's Starburst spray. And I'll go through how I use those. Those are fabulous. We've got liquid pearls here. We may make a fabric snippet. I already have made one for this journal, but I'll show you how I make those. And we'll add on some trim, some tulle, some of my jewelry from my stash. Look at that. Oh, yellow. Yay, that's going to look so pretty. And then maybe we'll even make a shabby chic flower, you know, cluster with some of the leftover fabrics, which I have right here. See all that? That's just from this journal that I've cut up. And maybe we'll make some tags, although these look pretty. I've made these before. These are pretty cute. They might go, but I want to make a couple others. Maybe decoupage some. We could do an altered playing card. the possibilities are endless, you guys. I don't want to get overwhelmed. Or maybe some corrugated cardboard clusters. These are a couple that I've made before. So that is my plan for the next installment on my video series. So stay tuned and gather up everything you can think of to make some ephemera. So yay. So I will see you soon in the next installment. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, guys. Bye.